so surrounded by talented and wonderful practitioners that I call my family, so it's awesome to be part of them. All right. When's the last time somebody read you a story? I mean, really. Remember as a little child, many of us had somebody, whether it was at school or our parents. I want to invite you to bring that inner child in right now. Can you do that for me? So if you want to close your eyes or just with childlike wonder, look up here. I want to share with you a story to start us off this morning. The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. Once there was a tree, and she loved a little boy. And every day the boy would come and he would gather her leaves and make them into crowns and play king of the forest. He would climb up her trunk and swing from her branches and eat apples. And they would play hide and go seek. And when he was tired, he would sleep in her shade. And the boy loved the tree. And the tree was happy. But time went by and the boy grew older. And the tree was often alone. Then one day the boy came to the tree and the tree said, "Come, boy, come and climb up my trunk and swing from my branches and eat apples and play in my shade and be happy." "I'm too big to climb and play," said the boy. "I want to buy things. I want to have fun. I want some money." "Do you have some money?" "Well, I'm sorry," said the tree, "but I have no money. I have only leaves and apples. But take my apples, boy, and sell them in the city. Then you'll have money and you'll be happy." And so the boy climbed up the tree, gathered up her apples, and carried them away. And the tree was happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time. And then one day the boy came back and the tree shook with joy and she said, "Come, boy, climb up my trunk and swing from my branches and be happy." "I'm too busy to climb trees," said the boy. "I want a house to keep me warm. I want a wife, I want children, and I need a house. Can you give me a house?" "Oh, I have no house," said the tree. "The forest is my house, but you may cut off my branches and build a house. Then you'll be happy." So the boy cut off her branches and carried them away to build his house. And the tree was happy. And after a long time, the boy came back again. "I'm sorry, boy," said the tree, "but I have nothing left to give you. My apples are gone, my branches are gone, my trunk is gone. I wish that I could give you something, but I have nothing left. I'm just an old stump." "I don't need very much now," said the boy. "Just a quiet place to sit and rest. I am very tired." "Well," said the tree, straightening herself up as much as she could, "well, an old stump is good for sitting and resting. Come, boy, sit down and rest." And the boy did, and the tree was happy. What did you hear? Is this the story of a selfish, demanding, ungrateful little boy and a selfless, submissive, and somewhat codependent tree? Can any of you identify with the idea of giving and not getting anything in return? Just two of us. That's all you want to do is take, take, take. Well, that doesn't feel good, does it? Well, I've learned over time, and still learning, of course, that when something doesn't feel good, then it's not the truth. Not from a spiritual perspective, anyway. They say change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. Okay. What if the little boy represents that part of us that remembers that we came here not to suffer, not to struggle, not to be denied, but rather that all we need to do is ask and it shall be given? And what if the tree is really just a metaphor for the countless creative and infinite ways that Spirit comes up with divine solutions so that we can enjoy life, whether it's through money, houses, cars, jobs, relationships, or peace, love, joy, creative expression? Now, how does that feel? I remember growing up as a child, not always getting what I wanted, but always seeming to get what I needed. For the most part, I felt safe and secure and trusting of the world. As an infant, I couldn't ask to be fed or changed, or held or comforted, but I knew that all would be well. And I made it through. So did each and every one of us. Some of us may have had a rockier ride, but we all made it. I remember sometimes as a child, and then as a teenager, and even as a young adult, forgetting all of this and insisting that the world was conspiring against me. And I always seemed to get the short end of the stick. Why me? And of course, the more I believed that, the more it became true for me. Or at least so I thought. The truth is, every step of the way, every step, the universe was there eager to give me exactly what I believed I deserved. Sometimes with bells and whistles, and other times with sirens and buzzers. In retrospect, it was all perfectly designed to help me grow and expand. And I was the one, after all, at the steering wheel. And then I discovered spirituality. And through books and counseling, retreats, and eventually a Center for Spiritual Living and this teaching, I awakened and remembered that it was done unto me as I believed. And I had the power to choose thoughts that could feel good and bring about demonstrations of God's givingness to me. The only thing that ever stood in the way was forgetting that and resorting back to limited beliefs, ideas, and lies. So perhaps, my friends, the moral to this story is saying yes to what we want in life. Staying focused on the yeses and the desires. Let Spirit do what it knows to do. And knowing that all is in divine order and God is eager to give you and I whatever we want in line with our openness and receptivity. So what do you think? Is it your time to claim your highest good? If you're not sure, maybe you could go find your own tree and see what comes up. You know, I used to wonder why people talked about hugging trees. I think I get it now. Maybe they already knew this and were just expressing their gratitude and appreciation. And now I get to thank you. And so it is. Well, it is my honor and privilege to be able to announce to you our next practitioner doing her power talk. Please welcome Kathy Donnells.
Good morning. My husband and I will celebrate 17 years of marriage in November. 37 years of marriage. But we've actually been together since July 4th, 1979. We have 3 natural-born children and a beautiful grandson, and several unofficially adopted more children. In our years together, we have gone to school and had many jobs and careers. There were times when our bank account was almost zero. One time, all we had to eat was potatoes. But I'm not telling you this for sympathy. We made it through all those times. We did not starve or lose our house. Lately, we have been working on decluttering our space. Once again, I went into my closet to remove clothes that don't fit, either physically or who I am. Come on, baby. Let me ask you a question. Whether you live in a small space or a large space, whether you've lived there a short time or a long time, do you have things that you could clean out from your closets, your drawers, maybe your kitchen? As I move furniture to give away or throw away and fill tubs of stuff and bags of clothes to pass on accumulated for 32 years in the same house, I was amazed at how much stuff we have. Tubs and tubs of photo albums and trophies of the children and lots of other things. As I thumbed through the albums to see which child they were of, I found one of my daughter. Now, we did what a lot of parents do 28 to 34 years. We took our kids to Olin Mills. Okay. When Azure was being born at home in my bedroom, the first words she heard came from her 2-year-old brother. "Look, Grandma, she's smiling." Azure was always smiling. But when we went to Olin Mills for her 1-year-old picture, and the photographer said, smile, Azure in her ruffled white dress pulled the side of the dress up in a Marilyn Monroe pose, looked over her shoulder, and glared at the camera. That brought a smile to my face, you know, when I found that particular picture. There were tubs of handmade quilts, art supplies, winter clothes, and books. We still have hundreds, even though I already gave almost 400 to Mary Jane in the youth program. I was walking down the hall carrying a tub, and I had an aha moment. Boy, we have been prosperous. The nature of God is to create and generate growth and expand. In those lean days, I put a lot of focus on my lack of money. But at my fingertips, I could touch so much evidence of being very prosperous, even, I dare say, rich. I suddenly had a new way to experience my clutter. We have truly been blessed. Even when we thought we were destitute, we weren't. We were healthy and strong. We had family and friends who loved us, and we grew and gained and moved through those times. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do like we did and acquire a lot of clutter to know, and a lot of stuff to know that prosperity is everywhere in many forms. It comes in many ways. I never worry about not having enough books or clothes. I always have what I need when I want to get something new. The trees don't say, woe is me, where is the rain? They just live their lives doing what trees do. I think if I knew then what I know now, I would still have lean times. There is an ebb and flow in life. But I would greet each day in gratitude for all my prosperous blessings in all the manifestations, and blessed my bank account too. Those times are shorter now. I let go of worry and anxiety because I know there is always more than enough. That is my message to you. God is prosperity in many forms. With daily gratitude, focus on what you have, including your money, but not just your money. God makes all of its creation prosperous. God is in you, and you are always prosperous. God is the eternal givingness to all. Believe it, and so it is. So, you have heard her in her beautiful voice as she sings, and now you get to enjoy another side of our wonderful Shasta Bridges.
Thank you. So I'm going to move some stuff to the side because I like to move around a lot. I know I've got 5 minutes. I'll stay in. Here it is. God meets you where you are. Okay, so that's under 5 minutes. I'm going to sit down now. Let's all go to brunch. But let me flush that out a little bit, because you could say that God is everywhere, and yes, God is everywhere and in all things. But I'm speaking specifically about the creative process. And that creative process brings about everything you see, brings about the world we know, and brings about the future it creates. And that's what I'm speaking specifically of. Now, I've been on this spiritual journey, as many of you have, I'm sure, starting from a traditional background, moving into Hinduism, moving into Buddhism, and I finally picked up this book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. Raise your hand if you read it. Majority. And then I read The Seed of the Soul, and that changed my life. And I could not read enough. And the more I read, the more I applied it, the more my life expanded. I picked up a book called The Power of Intention, Wayne Dyer. And something really happened with me there. Because I found out words are very powerful. And I found out that intention, though I understood it, set your intention, set your vision, set your goal, set what you desire to bring forward. But my understanding of it came to a place that it seemed out there. And so I have a new word: awareness. Awareness that you can have what you desire. Awareness that of your own desire. Awareness that the reality is that God meets you where you are. Now, this came upon me. I'll give you an example. It's been many years ago, and I was driving down the road, and I can tell you the road I was on. I can tell you the color of the flowers blooming. I can tell you the house I was in front of. It was like, boom. And I had this idea I could have a boyfriend. I'm like, I could have a boyfriend. Of course, I haven't spoken to my husband about this, but long story short, that idea manifests itself, and I have the love of my life, this amazing man. Now, what I want to bring to you about that is because what became aware, I let go of intention. I want to say a few weeks, I didn't read anything. I didn't study. I just lived. I did the things I enjoyed. On that particular day, I had the whole entire day to myself. I'll remember it vividly. My house was straight. Everything was in order. I did not have any appointments, did not have any commitments. I blasted music on. I danced around my house. I got in my car. I started driving. I felt so good. And then bam, right? So if they don't understand the bam, what I'm talking about is what got me to the place to get into alignment, to have this thought that I could have a boyfriend, to have one of my dear friends come to me and say, you've got to meet somebody. That's how it began, on a blind date. I did what I loved. I did what made me feel good. And I was in that place to receive. Okay, so I have a visual aid I want to share with you. Okay, here's another bam. You ready? Bam! Okay, who has seen this? All right, so this is like Prac 101, right? And so I wanted to bring this out because we're all on the spiritual journey. We understand things differently. And I love the fact that Ernest Holmes, the writer of The Science of Mind, where we get our philosophy from, says, remain open at the top. And David often reminds us that. So it's okay to play around with ideas. It's okay to step into different spiritual paths to serve your own. So here is my understanding of this. Spirit is where our thoughts are. This is how we experience life. This is what we walk around with. This is our daily choices. Mind is the little bit of that where God meets you. Mind is where the creation is, the force that comes forth. But what about this little line in between? This could be wrong, but this is what I understand. Wrong, okay, you can't get it wrong, right? This could be questioned. This could be questioned, but to me, there's a piece in there that I'm going to call grace. And that's what I think happened when I got that download and said, I have a boyfriend, right? And that's just an example. I mean, I could go on, but I only got 5 minutes. So then from here, the form of it, what is manifested, comes forth. And then what about here? Well, now let me back up even here. You know what I think happens sometimes is that we're not truthful with how we feel. Like we can walk around and go, I am happy, I'm joyful. I'm happy, I'm joyful. I'm happy, I'm joyful. But if you're going around, you're happy and you're joyful, and you really want to cry, then my suggestion is to cry. Because there's a piece in here that you just get real. You just get real. You get real with how you feel. And that allows grace to come in. That allows alignment. That allows authenticity. That allows your ability to connect with yourself. And that allows you to get into alignment to your greater good, to manifest that with which you desire. I hope I was clear. because I've run out of time, but you can always ask me afterwards. But here I want to close on this, is God meets you where you are, and wherever you are is perfect. And so it is. And now, I introduce the wonderful Shahrazad to ground us and take us to a higher place that we know now.
Oh, she left it here. Oh, talk about synchronicity. Thank you. She didn't know I was going to ask her for that. I want to take a minute. I'm going to be selfish. God, you're beautiful. You are so beautiful. I'm here to talk about the givingness of God as it relates to health, RN that I am. And while Shasta was sharing, I got one of those, boom, that I have to share with you. Because we tend to think of health in terms of the body, and we tend to think of our body as this one unit. But as one of my teachers, Dr. Will Coleman, said, this is a universe too. There, as many billions and billions of stars as there are out in the universe, there are billions and billions of cells right here. There's all kinds of intelligences within me. I got little things called T cells that are right at my borders, and they okay, you come in. Wait a minute, who are you? Nope, can't come in here. And if that's not intelligence, I don't know what is, okay? Yet and still, health involves all of us, our spirit, all these bodies, our mind, healthy mind. And so when I was going over this, and I had to ask myself, so what is my greatest challenge to my own personal health right now in this moment? And for me, it is the thought of being in pain, of being ill for a long period of time. Anybody relate to that? Because we live in a modern world that can keep us living sometimes longer than we care to, in pain and what have you. So I really have a fear of this, and the wonderful thing about doing these kinds of activities as a practitioner is I get to share in the law of reciprocity, because I get to think about this and grow, and I get to hope some little thing I say to you helps you think and grow, okay? So I went back to my fear of pain as it relates to illness, and so Reverend Alt, being Reverend Alt, said, so where do you think that fear of pain began? And I was like, I mean, I had been this way for so long, I had to think. And so I remembered what it was, kind of. I grew up in Chicago. I grew up in Chicago poor. Let me rephrase that. I grew up in Chicago poor. Okay? Really? And as an infant, my mother would, and some of you can relate to this, she would wash me in the sink, not double sink like we have today for your dishes. You put one in. I mean, there was only single sink, okay? That's how old I am. And next to the sink was one of those old stoves, the kind of old stove that stayed hot. Once it got hot, and your mother would, stay away from the stove, stay away from the stove, okay? So she would put me in there. Now, if you don't know about Chicago, Chicago in the wintertime gets cold. I mean a real kind of cold. So, and I was born in November, so as a small infant, I was being, you know, in the sink. And of course, the oven was giving off this heat. So I, you know, I'm sitting and I'm feeling this heat over there. And my mother, being a good mother, was saying, no, no, don't touch, don't touch, don't touch, you know, and me being me. steady trying to touch, steady trying to touch. And so with my little smart self, I waited till she turned her back. And I looked at her this way, and I took my hand this way, and I touched the stove. And I had a burn that you would not believe. And my relatives gave my poor mother, she was a young mother, a heck of a hard time when they saw this burn on my hand. You know, why'd you let that baby? And even my great-grandparents, because I was the first great-grandchild, you know. So why'd you let that baby hurt herself like that? And my mother, trying to defend herself, well, I told her it was hot, I told her it was hot. And I even have a picture of myself, you know, those little baby boot, those shoes when you first learn how to come up to your ankles, the white ones that lace. And I've got the little frilly dress, and I'm showing the cameraman, and see what I did to myself. And it's faded away for the most part now, but I carried that scar. And so I thought to myself, well, that's where the pain came in. See, now I really mean this, because even when I was in college, and I had, the first time I went, because I go to school forever, one of my instructors would follow me around, and he would say, well, one of my jobs is I have to recruit my best students for the FBI and the CIA, and I really want you to apply. Either one. I write you a letter of recommendation. I really think you know, and we're looking for women, looking for African-American women. And he would go on. And finally I got tired, and I said to him, look, sir, I cannot do either one of these jobs. They sound wonderful. I said, because the first time I get caught and they say, we are going to torture you, I am telling it all. Any detail I can think of. You know, I can't do pain, okay? Can't do pain. Nope. So that was the aha moment there, and I was so thankful. I said, well, at least I know what it is. I can work on it, and I can come to realize that in this moment, okay, this is where I'm at. So then there was something else. I was sitting in meditation, and then guess what happened? Blam! I was like, wait a minute, because it was more than just the pain. It was the guilt that was associated with the fact, because my mother being a good, see, if you hadn't touched that, you wouldn't have had the, you know, and I kept thinking, you know, it's my fault. Because I knew there was something missing, because I had given birth a couple of times. And it's, you know, that's pain, okay? I was so good at it the last time until I was sitting there meditating before a procedure, and my doctor came up to me and said, what are you doing? And I said, I'm getting ready for this. I'm meditating. He said, oh. And he tiptoed around, and the nurses it was like a church. They came over and said, are you ready now? And I said, yeah, I'm ready. So it wasn't the pain, it was the guilt. It was the guilt of what I had done to myself. As a child, I had carried that. Look what I had done to myself. I had hurt myself so badly. It was the guilt that made me stop smoking cigarettes, because as a mother, I was not going to have that guilt of anything happening to my child, my infant, in my womb because I was smoking, okay? So even now, and this is what I want everyone to get, right now in this moment, the givingness of God. Can you all breathe? Look at your fingers. Look at your fingers. Look at your toes. You see, even if you wear glasses, you can see. You can smell. Remember the last really good smell, peach cobbler, homemade bread, whatever it was. Didn't it smell good? And taste. Ooh, taste has got me into more trouble. This is the eternal givingness of God to us in this moment that makes us well in spirit. We're here right now. We're well in mind. The world is going all kinds of different ways and doing all kinds of outrageous things. But we're here, positive in mind and spirit. We are whole. And so in this moment, gratitude is the beginning of all the givingness. Gratitude. They say that health is wealth, and surely it is. And so in this moment, we are grateful. And I would love for my fellow practitioners to come with me right now, because I know we are also very grateful. And if we could just humbly share our gratitude, law of reciprocity. We're so grateful to serve you. We're so grateful for your being here. We're so grateful for the love that we share. You are so very beautiful, and we love you. And so it is.